clown. And just let me know if the screen doesn't share in a minute. And if I'm too choppy, tell me. I'll see what I can do. I'm on an internet connection at the Philadelphia office today. One day we'll get back live, which I know this is great, but it's so much easier to do these things live. Okay, so I have to move. Okay. So we talk a lot about whether an agent is going to be proactive or reactive. I'm going to emphasize that on every training, because agents are going to reach out to me, and it always happens. And whether they're just venting or they're really concerned, they're going to reach out and say, I'm not getting business, or I need more business. And a lot of times there has to be a self-evaluation. Are you being reactive, or are you being proactive? Agents that are consistently proactive, constantly, it's very unlikely if they're not getting enough leads, because they're always doing the proactive action steps that are required for proper lead generation. So a reactionary agent is somebody who's going to sign up for floor time. Floor time, believe it or not, is not a proactive way of getting business. It's reactionary. I'm going to sign up at the office, sit down at a desk, and wait for the phone to ring. That's very reactionary. So what can I do? Now, door knocking is very proactive. Whether you like it or not, it's one of the most proactive activities. Cold calling, a very proactive activity. So you have two extremes. You have reactionary all the way on this side, sitting down somewhere and waiting for a phone to ring, or you have really, on the other end of this spectrum, totally proactive actions, which would be, I'm going to canvass a neighborhood today, door knock, introduce myself, and see if anybody has any questions or anything with regards to real estate, or how I can help with real estate in general, or homes, lifestyle type of questions. That may be out of your comfort zone, but the key component is you have this end of the spectrum, which is reactionary, this end, which is proactive. So you want to move the pendulum as close to that proactive measure as possible. So what can you do consistently every week to be proactive? That's what we have to focus on. And this is marketing. This is what companies spend a ton of money on. I think most people, when they think marketing, what do most people think when they think of marketing? I think most people think visual. It's like, oh, it's good design in a design center, or oh, I have a graphic artist, or I'm hiring a marketing person. And if somebody's going to hire a marketing person, I think that and we've all made the mistakes, I've made the mistake, they instantly think that that person is good at marketing. If I was going to hire a marketing person, I would ask them a series of questions as to, why am I hiring you as a marketing person? Oh, I understand how to use Facebook. I know how to use Photoshop. I know how to use these things. Well, that's not a marketing person. That could be a graphic designer, or you could be a social media administrator, somebody that's really proficient in social media. But are you really good at marketing? Because marketing is focused on connecting with the consumer. And a visual is only one aspect of connecting with the consumer. You have your concept. First is strategy. Then you have your concept built from the strategy. And then you have your reach outs. How in the world do you get it out to the people? Okay. And then you're going to have your copyright, and you're going to have your visual, your graphic design, or whether it's a movie or a show. Those are all the aspects of marketing. So when people talk about marketing, they are usually talking about, from my experience, oh, it's a visual thing. Anybody can go on Facebook and pay for an ad. Is the ad going to work? What action steps are going to work to get you the business that you want to get? Are you focused on just getting an internet lead? And the thing is, if you develop and get systems that get these leads, there's a whole second part of this that's called conversion. Do you have highly effective systems to convert leads? You might say, oh yeah, I'm good at converting leads. maybe you're good at converting leads when Aunt Joan sends you over a referral and you call the person right away. But how good are you at converting a lead that's an internet lead that comes in on your phone and you're on the run? Because if you don't have a system in place to grab the lead, respond to them effectively in less than 2 minutes, you pretty much lost that lead. And those are some of the things that people have to understand, is that new lead, there's two types of lead generation that we're going to focus on. You have your repeat referral and you have your new. So repeat referral is going to be people that are going to either use you again because they used you as, whether it's in real estate, if let's say you were an insurance agent, you could get repeat business. It's not repeating the sale of a house. It's a repeat client, somebody who used your services before. Could have, let's say you were an insurance agent and now you become a real estate agent and now they're going to call you up. That's a repeat client. So understand the repeat is on the client, on the person. And then you have referral. And it could be the same person that's repeating their business, could be the person that is referring people to you. So referrals can come from people that you've worked with, people that you've never worked with. So you have repeat referral, that's one category. And then you have your new business. New business can come from billboards, internet lead generation. It can come from open houses. It can come from calling FSBOs, calling expireds, door knocking. All of that is under the category of new business. So knowing those two categories, what you really want to figure out is where are you spending your money and your efforts, okay? And that's what we're going to dive into a lot today. We're going to dive into the systems that I've used, the systems that the trainings teach, and you're going to come up with your system that's going to be a consistent lead generating machine. And what I urge people to do is, if you ever find that your leads are not coming in, I need you to do your self-evaluation checks and look back and say, am I doing everything that we were taught consistently, meaning every week? Am I doing them every week to get the results I'm expecting? Because if you can honestly answer that and say you are, then there's some real conversations we should have. But if one or two of the things you're not doing consistently every week, then you have to look at yourself and say, well, I can't complain. I got to go back and do these things consistently, or I'm never going to get the results I expect. So that's being proactive or reactive. We always want to be proactive in this business. Okay. All right. So who's your audience? It comes in four categories. Well, it doesn't matter whether it's new business or repeat referral. So if you look at this bullseye, you have your blue. Those are your advocates, okay? Your advocates are going to be, and anybody that's done this with me before, you're always going to hear the same thing. If you go to another coach, you're going to hear the same thing. If you go to any seminar, you're going to hear the same thing. The advocates are your best referral source, bar none, 100%. So it's up to you to start keeping a list and outlining how you manage and organize this group, all of these groups, because you want to be able to target each group when you market. Okay. You know, if I'm marketing any type of product or service, let's say I'm in the hotel industry or boutique hotel industry. In the boutique hotel industry, you're going to have advocates, especially high-end hotels, right? So think about it. Do you think that the Ritz-Carlton gets more advocates than, let's say, a Best Western? What do you think? Of course, right? So you have to ask yourself, what type of service agent do you want to be? Do you want to be a Best Western, or do you want to be a Ritz-Carlton, or do you want to be somewhere in between? You can be a Sofitel, you can be, but the point is, people will recommend those things to people, and those are advocates. Same thing in the restaurant industry. They create advocates, okay? And that's what you want to focus on as far as your business is. I want to create advocates. I always tell people when I'm doing an open house, when I see people come through the house, my number one goal is not to sell the house to that person. And people think it's wow, that goes against everything I would think I'm doing in an open house. My number one goal is to create an advocate for my services with that person that walks through the door. That person may never leave the agent they're working with. That person may never use me. But if that person can leave with the thought that, wow, I'd like, you know, I would recommend John, I've succeeded in that open house. If you adopt that mindset, you're going to have success. I promise you that. So your goal in each one of these rings is to figure out how many people here can I create? Because that's where we build in our metrics, okay? If you have 50 people in your advocates, you should be able to close 20% of that 50, okay? So you should be able to have 10 closings every year if you effectively market to those advocates. And then you have your sphere. Now, understand the difference between advocate and sphere. Someone in your sphere is someone you know, right? Someone you know pretty well. Let's say there's somebody that you interact with on a consistent basis. And the reason there's most people don't succeed in real estate is they really don't embrace the key words I'm talking about: proactive and consistent. If you do anything else, you know how you have those inspirational words? Put them around your desk. Proactive, consistent. That's what you need to do. You got to be proactive and consistent in everything you do in real estate, and you'll see why. But your sphere are going to be people that you interact with on a consistent basis, okay? The advocates are people that are more or less evangelical about you. They think the world of you. So there are two different categories. Now, my metric is, you see how they're blue, the light blue and the dark blue? I have my go-to advocates, and then I have my sphere. When I market to them, they're pretty much on the same plan, okay? So my metric is these two categories, I get 20% conversion from those two categories. So does everybody understand that? If I have 100 people in my advocates and my sphere combined, then I should get 20 closings a year from that group.
Yes.
This is easy to follow. Good. Now, what that really means, everyone, is you're not getting 20 closings from those people, okay? You're getting 20 closings because those people interact with 5 people or more on a consistent basis. So that's the whole point of recommending a referral, okay? And now with social media like Facebook and Instagram, there's so many different ways now to kind of interact and get people. I mean, we're seeing it with the election. Marketers are using these platforms to make people. Do you think we have advocates right now in the political spectrum? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say one thing about politics, and I hope you don't get upset, because this is the one guarantee I will tell you. Donald Trump and Joe Biden don't give two craps about you or me personally. Do you believe it?
Yeah.
They don't care about us. Okay, they care about a larger picture, and it's okay. That's what they're supposed to care about. But the reality is, why did they generate advocates? See, I'm talking about this not from a political standpoint. I'm talking about from a marketing standpoint. I'm fascinated by it. How do we have? They spread the word.
Right.
They're targeting emotions, guys. Each party targets emotions. We are people. We are built of emotions. If you notice this, that's how Facebook is working. That's how Instagram works. Everything is targeting your emotions. What's going around around the world targets all of our emotions every day. Our buying habits are more and more now, more than ever, targeted by our emotions. And so in politics, they've identified this. In fact, I think Barack Obama's campaign was probably one of the first one that realized they could use social media to target people's emotions to get election votes. And it was genius. And then Trump came in and did the same thing. And what's amazing about it is, in real estate, this is what you're trying to do. You know, people that say, I don't want to be on social media. You have an entire political landscape being pushed on social media. That's how they're getting all these votes. regardless of the side, both sides. So it's there, it exists. Our goal, not to overcomplicate it, is how do we use social media first? How do we use social media? How do I use direct marketing? How do I use all of these different methods? So let's separate. In marketing, you have TV commercials, billboards, direct mail, phone calls, physical labor, door knocking, social media promotions. All of these things are methods to marketing. Does everybody understand that? It's a method to promote. Okay. So by sitting there saying, oh, I'm going to just do a Facebook campaign, I don't really think you're doing yourself a service unless you figure out how you're going to use Facebook. And the first thing is, no matter which method you use, now you got to figure out who is my target base that I'm using the method to. And in this blue ring, the light blue and the dark blue, that is your best return on your investment, because they're going to listen to you first before your acquaintances and then before your general community. Understand? So when you're building your marketing plan, you want to build your marketing plan around these categories. So you have your My Advocates and My Sphere. So what does that mean when you're building your marketing plan? We'll go over that when we go through some of the marketing plans, okay? Then you have your acquaintances. So an acquaintance is anybody that you've come in contact with personally. I can tell you in our company, some of these agents that are at the top of the list, when you see, Debbie just put the awards out there, some of the names you guys probably are like, wow, I didn't even know that person really, or they came out of nowhere. I can promise you this, because I know them. I interact with the agents on a very in-depth basis. Some of those agents are phenomenal at their marketing. And the reason they're phenomenal at it, because here they do something very, very simple. They touch all of these people in the green, light blue, and dark blue. They may they may ignore the tan, but they're doing a great job of touching the green, the light blue, and the blue, and the dark blue. So that green might be 300 people that they've come in contact with in their careers, in their life. They don't forget about them. They don't say, oh, I'm not going to spend money on them. They hit those people with reach outs. Okay. They put them on 30 plus, they put them on like a 15, 18, or 20 touch system. And then they hit the 30 plus on these people, the light blue and dark blue. So the closer, and they do it very consistently, and they mix it up. They mix it up with personal notes, phone calls, items of value, door knocking, messages on Facebook, all of these things, text messages. They have a wide variety of different things that they do for those groups. Then they focus on My Community as an additional plan, marketing plan. So we'll talk about all these things. That's why the lead generation is an extensive course. All right. One of the things that I like to urge people is when you're creating your plan, okay, you basically have to have some principles involved in marketing. Marketing is, Travis Robertson had a great way of promoting this. He's a coach, integrated marketing. You want your marketing to integrate with each other. There's some people that are really good on social media. They're not sending anything out on print. Or there's people that are really good with print and they're not doing anything on social media. You are a brand. The benefit of being with a brand that pays for so much marketing like RE/MAX is that when you put your name next to the balloon, people instantly know it's real estate. That's the value prop that you get. That's why I always prefer a brand that pays for their brand. Keller Williams doesn't pay for their brand. They don't spend one marketing dollar on promoting the KW brand. You can even ask him, it's part of his plan. He wants the agents to do all the marketing. And they save the agents a little bit of money on that marketing. But the point of marketing is, everyone, you want people to instantly know what your purpose is in business. So when you hit the balloon with the person's name, it's instantly done. It's all automatically in their subconscious. So step one is accomplished. Now you can create your brand within the brand. And that's where I see a lot of agents kind of struggle. Create your brand. Your biggest brand right now is your name. It's interesting, and this is my own opinion on this. Everybody has different opinions on marketing, but I always look at who does it well, and I go with that. In the tri-state area, Mike McCann is the #1 real estate agent and team in the industry in our area. Okay, he's not called the Real Estate That Works team. He's not called City to Burbs and this and stuff team. No, what's his team name? The Mike McCann team. He already has a brand under the brokerage. Now he's created the team name under his name. So when you're branding yourself, you want to brand your name. Your name is important, okay? And it's more important than ever because people want to connect with a person. They don't want to connect to City and Burbs team or this and that. Yes, they'll generate leads. I can pull their stats, and some of these teams have a lot of closings, but they might be a lot of internet leads that they have a huge team that have high pressure to close all these low percentage leads. So I would urge you to focus on branding your name. You want to have an online presence, okay? What does that mean? Look, you get a website. Every week, you should be time blocking about your business. So we talked about this in week 1, building your business. Are you checking your expenses? Are you focusing on how you run your business from the financial aspects, from the business development aspect? Well, once you built out your business plan, your marketing plan needs to be budgeted to try to get you the numbers of closed transactions that you need for every year. Well, you need to focus your marketing plan around that. So your online presence is extremely important for what you're doing because that's your bricks and mortar basically in the online world, your online presence. If people go to a website your website to see about your services, you should have some of those things duplicated in if you give a buyer guide or a seller guide or whatever your value prop or what you do or who you are or how you work, that should be duplicated into your online presence because that's the online store that represents who you are. All right. Your sphere connection. Your sphere connection is really, really important too. Okay. How you're going to interconnect with your sphere, who they are. How do you know them? What do you know about them? Do you think it's powerful if you know that 20% of your sphere likes to drink red wine?
Yes.
Would that be powerful to know that?
Yes.
Do you think it's important? Yeah, of course. Do you think it's important to know 15% of your clients have kids?
Yes.
Every bit of information, I always like to call every information in my business world called intel. Every bit of intel that I get, I can use to market. When you go into stores, you guys remember the barcode things, and now they have like apps on your phone and everything? Do you think Starbucks wants to know the type of coffee, everything I drink?
Yes.
If I'm consistently ordering 3 things, is Starbucks going to push products that are closer to that or completely opposite of that to me?
Products that are close.
Correct. So how does that translate in the real estate world? Well, the more you know about your sphere and your network, the more you can build marketing plans around it. I think agents need to have fun with marketing. They don't spend any time marketing. This gives you the opportunity for everyone to be marketing execs on a marketing team. Have fun with it. If you know 30% of your sphere has kids that are playing baseball, is there something special you could send them once every 2 months just to those people?
Yes.
Of course. Will that be more meaningful? Will that register in their mind, this person sent me that?
Yes.
Way more powerful. Now, when you hit those power points, those power marketing points to those specific people, all of the other things that they're getting from you on automation mean so much more. That's the point of it. What I see a lot of agents do is they say, oh, well, I send them 12 postcards of recipes a year. I'm sorry, you're not getting high-level leads from 12 recipe cards a year. I mean, now, if you know that 30% of your database loves to cook and 20% loves to bake, and you did a a high level YouTube presentation with maybe a local chef, or you went over to if you went over to maybe did 20 person cooking class get together at Sur La Table, and you invited those 20, do you think that's powerful? Of course. If you offer that to all 100 people and you know 80 of them don't really care about cooking, it doesn't matter about those 80. So you have to know everything you can know about people is what's important. And it doesn't mean you do it all in one day. This is a continuous. Now, what are the two words that we have to remember, everyone? Consistent, proactive. So consistently update your lists, update your network, update what they like. Not only update doesn't just mean their information or who they are, adding new people to your database. It means finding more things out about the database. You know, what else can you find out about people? Okay. And then you have to focus on converting them. What is your strategy? What are your action steps to convert somebody? Somebody reaches out to you. In their world, they're spending, I mean, look at it. When you guys call me, or if you have somebody you want me to talk to, or if you call me, do you care if I have 7 other people on my list that day to talk to? No. You care that I'm going to talk to you. And the reason I bring it that way is that's what your client base is. If I'm sending this person a lead, they want to make sure that you focus you focus the importance on that as much as they do. And that is the trick in our business. We are all busy. Again, this is hard. That's why we have to be efficient with our time. That's why we have to be consistent with what we do. If we run around like there's a fire drill all the time, are we going to do the things we need? Are we going to be organized enough to have efficient conversion tactics? What do you think?
No.
I think it's going to be extremely difficult to do that. That's why you want to set yourself up to be very disciplined every day with your activities and block them out and be really diligent about it. You know, don't just say it, practice it. And you don't have to get to the highest level of an activity manager. You know, every 3 months, try to be better at managing your activities. I mean, that's what I do. I'm just like you guys. I have moments where I'm doing great on everything, and then I have fall down a little bit, and I have to bring myself back up. It's a constant work in progress, and it's worth it. Okay. And then in all of this, you can build in some property advertising. Some of those things outside of the relationship connection that we're talking about, now you can drip in the property advertising from time to time. Notice it's all the way at this end of the spectrum, because you have to build the relationship part first. The relationship part's so important. Whether it's a new person, somebody walks through an open house, they're coming here for the property, but it's way more important that I build rapport with that person than anything about the property. Now, maybe I'm answering questions effectively in the manner that they expect that in order for me to build the rapport, but we all know we do it. We all have to build rapport with people, and then we can use property advertisements now to drop in that this is our profession. This is what we do. This is why people should contact us for their real estate needs. Okay. Any questions with marketing philosophy? All right. A couple things you want to do. You want to make sure you have a current photo. Okay. So those of you revisiting your marketing strategy, your marketing plan, take a look at your photo. You also want to make sure you have you have a consistent look that is fresh or timeless, and that's in your brand. That's also in the way you demonstrate yourself. That's in your email signature. All of those things. Okay. And third, you want to be interactive and accessible. Now think about that. In the world of social media, do you think that being interactive and accessible is important?
Yes.
Those people that get the most internet leads or social media leads are the ones that are interacting with their community base. Okay. I think one of the teams that handles social media the best is the Philly Home Collective, which is led by Krista McFeely and Dan Gianetto's on that team. They're really good on social media. And what they do is they're not signing up for a service. Look, you guys can call up a service and they'll just make postings for you. No, they are unique. They are creative. They bring lifestyle to the forefront of everything they do. One of their tactics, one of their techniques that they do is they go past the property. The property is the backdrop, and they allow the consumer to see who the people are buying and selling their property. Not just who they are, if they tell the story of who they are, of where they're going. And it's a risky marketing tactic, in my opinion, but it works for them. And they put great visuals involved, and then they interact back and forth in the right way with their marketing. But any marketing that is interactive and accessible, and I don't mean going up and paying a service for one of those bots that frustrate the heck out of me. How many times you guys go to Xfinity and want to talk to customer service and you have the online bot that can't help you at all, or any of those services? It drives me nuts. So, and we all have them. Like, I have it in my HomeSnap app and stuff like that. They don't really help me with leads. But if I replace the bot with a reach out that says, oh, hey, that's a beautiful property. I saw that another one's going up for sale down the street. Give me a call. Let's talk about it. Most likely the consumer is going to see that that's somebody real and say, hey, let me talk to them. So interacting and being accessible is very important on your marketing efforts. Okay. And this is why it's really important. It's really important to focus on your top level conversion, which would be, again, those three main groups. You have your advocates, you have your network, and then you have your acquaintances before you do mass farming or mass marketing techniques. All right. Your photo. So your photo should not be something that's 40 years ago or even 20 years ago. Okay. It should be who you are now. Because what's going to happen is, if I met Tom Hanks of this photo when he was in Splash versus the Tom Hanks now that's winning all these Oscars, if I see this Tom Hanks and he has a photo and my impression is of this Tom Hanks on the left, then I'm not going to take him as serious. So it's something that we always have to be on point with, checking in what we have that's representing us. Okay. That's the reason brands like RE/MAX refresh the brand every now and then. They have to. All right. So your online strategies would be, make sure you're searchable and accessible. How do you know this? Google yourself. Google your services. See what comes up. And then see why those things are coming up and how you can increase a better page. You can have a business page on Facebook that you treat like a website. Facebook has a very good algorithm on Google for it to come up. And that can be your online presence. In fact, when I go shopping for things, sometimes I prefer to just go to their Facebook page because their websites are so outdated. And the nice thing about the Facebook page is, if you're getting information out there and you're interacting, then as a consumer, I get to see a little bit about the person I'm thinking of hiring. All right. Have your information be current. Let things be mobile compatible. If you're going to spend money on websites or any additional services, make sure it has a very good mobile compatibility, which means that if somebody types the URL on their mobile phone or their iPad or their tablet, it's going to come up formatted and engaging on the mobile device, and it's not going to look awkward. Okay. And then again, we talked about integrated marketing. Have interlinked platforms. You should be able to go to all your different platforms from every platform they end up in. If somebody goes to your website, they should be able to go to your Facebook page or Instagram. If somebody sees your email signature, they should be able to go to all these places. Make them linkable. In Full Leverage Agent, he teaches you the importance of having a proper and professional email signature. You can always take it to a higher level. If you want to learn how to link your Instagram and Facebook on your email signature and use Gmail, Google how to do this, blah, 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 using Gmail. 99% of the time, you're going to come up with a proper YouTube video that's going to show you how to do these things. If you're not doing these things, you're not being proactive and consistent. Okay? So This graph shows you where the home buyers are searching. Okay. So they're searching primarily on an online website over a real estate agent. What's interesting on this is, so probably 15 to 20 years ago, the real estate agent was the number one part here. Then it was the website, and mobile tablets and all weren't even in existence for that. But if you think of this, look at this, where a mobile tablet website or an app is over 70% of the buyer's search. I bet you if they reduce this to millennials, they'd be over 90%.
I agree.
Everyone's using their mobile app or their website. I mean, their mobile phone or tablet for their app or website. Okay. The real estate agent is an insignificant searching mechanism at this point. Would you all agree?
Yes.
So you have to redefine who you are. If your value proposition when you meet a client or you meet a buyer is, oh, well, I'll set you up on a search, I'll do this, they're way ahead of you. They already started right here on the website. And if you're just denying it, you're just denying the inevitable. So what you need to do is embrace it. You need to embrace the change and move your marketing to what people want. People don't need you to get the properties out there. We get the properties out there through our board and our MLS and all those entities that we complain, and REMAX that we complain so much about paying fees to, because we all do it. I remember I used to say, what does the Association of Realtors do for me? It protects me to have a career and a livelihood. That's what it does. It helps us. So my point is, the consumer wants the information, and real estate's no different than any other product you're buying. They just want to go online. I had reached out on an ad. I'm going to tell you a story that happened yesterday. We're getting windows for our house. And I have all sorts. I've gone online, this and that. I've gone to Lowe's. I've had Lowe's order the wrong window sizes and had them taken back. And I get a snail mail flyer. Totally, the lead capture focus. And it says renewal by Andersen. Has anybody ever bought a renewal by Andersen window? And you'll know if you bought it, because the price is absolutely astronomical. So I have a house with 55 windows. Okay. We call them up. They arrange for a sales rep to come to our house that night at 7 o'clock. Okay. This guy shows up and he does a 2-hour presentation. For those of you that met with me did this class for the buyer conversion and listing and winning the listing, what did we talk about? Do not do presentations, do conversations. He did a full 2-hour presentation. At the end of the day, his whole motive was to show me why the renewal by Andersen, whatever they call the product, it's like wood mixed with composite, right? Not vinyl. This whole thing, why it's superior to any other window. It's 20 years in the business. It'll save me all this energy. He had a 135-degree heat lamp that he put on my window, put my hand on the other side of it to demonstrate that heat came through, which I don't know when I'm ever going to have 135 degrees coming through my house, but so be it. And then he had his little demonstrated window to show me how nice it was and that the heat did not come through those glass panes. He spent 2 hours there. Guess how much he quoted for these windows? Anybody? 50 windows. Just throw a number out.
50,000.
$120,000.
My God.
My wife said, who is going to spend $120,000 on windows?
Nobody.
And he said, oh, well, we do. And I started asking him questions because I train these courses. And I said, what is your conversion of coming out to appointments like this? And he's like, what? And I said, like, how many of you, the consumers, do you really convert into buying windows? Like any, they can buy 4 windows. Maybe they choose 4. He's like, well, probably 40%. And I'm thinking, I don't know if Renewal by Andersen is really doing it the right way. something's missing here, because I said, I am not paying $120,000 for windows. My kids were there. I said, I have their education to focus on. He did not ask me one question about us. Does everybody see what's missing in that?
Yes.
He wasted 2 hours of my time. He wasted 2 hours of his time. He was a good salesperson, and he should be taught how to have conversations and screen and all first to see what they're looking for. They would have known from the beginning I was never going to spend $120,000 on a window, on windows, because that's $3,200 per window in my house.
That's
And
ridiculous.
guess what? I never even knew you could spend $3,200 on a window. And we're talking normal windows. I'm not talking an entire wall of windows. I'm talking one window was $3,200. So my point is, the consumers lead where we're going, not the other way around. Okay? So if they like to search on an app, you need to make sure that your apps are set up, that you can share your app, you can get involved in. If they want to, I always ask people, do you like Zillow? If you like Zillow, tell them the concerns when they use Zillow. Don't discourage them from using Zillow. They're just going to hold it against you. All right. Your sphere and client connection must be, again, what's the first word? Consistency. Okay. It must be personalized. It must be professional, and it must have value. You always have to kind of try to demonstrate some value, whatever it is. It doesn't mean it has to be an enormous amount of value every time you reach out on a marketing reach out, but it has to have some type of value. It can't just be so generic. People are just going to let it go in and out. All right. When you're focusing on your target network, the information must be relevant. Again, it must be what? Consistent. And it must be sincere. Sincerity will always win. Be sincere. That person, by the way, that came to my house, Renewal by Andersen, is on my complete negative list, because I think they're the least sincere company I've ever met. I'd rather replace windows twice in a 20-year span than deal with them. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. That's Steve Jobs. Find out who you are, what connects with you. Don't try to be. Too many times realtors say, well, this person does this, I want to do that. You know, I mentioned the Philly Home Collective. That team has real estate agents who used to work for one of the local newspapers in the city of Philadelphia. They were newspaper writers and marketers. So they connect with the community. That's why they talk about it. Don't try to be something you're not. Be who you are. If you're a soccer mom, be the best real estate soccer mom there is out there and let the world know. Okay? Lead conversion and property advertising strategies. All right, they must always have brand consistency. They must have accurate information. Scrub it. When you put something on the MLS, do you have a system in place where you go back and check on all of the websites that you think people are going to go to make sure the information is relaying accurately? How many of you do that? I know I don't always do it. It's part of my listing, 47 vital activities for listings that I have in there. But now I'm trying to make sure one of our team members is doing that. The reason being, did you know that when something from Bright MLS on a row home or townhome syncs up to, I think it's either Zillow or Realtor.com, it's classified as a condo.
Wow.
That's an issue. I think it's in Zillow. I forget, I had to change that. My seller caught it. And here's why. Everything we do is so much work. Reputations take years to build and only seconds to destroy. It's the seller, the consumer is going to find this out because they're way more in tune with this transaction than you are. Do you ever get this? You ever get the sellers that call you as soon as a showing occurs at their house? As soon as it's done, they say, "How did you get feedback?" I know you guys have had that. That's because the seller is so much more involved and concerned about the process and in tune with it than you are. And it's okay. So you just have to coach them through it in a nice way and be sincere and always be consistent. If you're going to give them 24-hour feedback, always give them 24 hours feedback. The minute you start flip-flopping, your how they perceive you is going to change. Always have a multimedia approach for lead conversion. Utilize multiple media sources. Have a website, have social media presence, have a mail campaign, a snail mail campaign, have an email campaign, have a text message focus, and have a phone call focus and an in-person meeting focus. If you can have those 7 focuses built around one marketing plan, that's an integrated marketing plan. And each one should reinforce and connect to the other. Okay? Somebody drives by a sign and sees my property listing and goes, let's say you create a single website property address for that sign. And they go to 123abcstreet.com. That should take them to learn about the team. That should take them to the website, Facebook page. All these different things should integrate. And that needs your attention to make sure those things are happening. This is Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar highly focuses on your advocates. This is Brian Buffini, was a disciple of Zig Ziglar. He's an old-time real estate coach. And you will get all you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. And let me go back to this occurrence that I just had as a consumer with Renewal by Andersen. Did Renewal by Andersen help me get what I want? What do you guys think? I wanted windows, but they didn't find out how important windows were in the grand scheme of everything I wanted. You know, they didn't find out like why I'm paying $30,000 for a roof when I can pay $120 for slate. Instead of asking me, well, why are you not choosing for the slate? Or where does that fall in the importance of your life? They're not asking me those things. Okay. 74% of buyers would use their agent again or recommend their agent to others. Key component in this, everyone, is would. Why do you think most of them don't?
Because the agent doesn't stay in contact with them.
100%. It's always the agent's fault. I can almost promise you. I would say 95% of the time it's the agent's fault for not being in contact. 69% of sellers would definitely use the same agent again. Once again, agents have a harder time staying in touch with sellers. Why do you think? Because often this agent doesn't get where the seller moves to. Oh, how many times, I can't even fathom how many times real estate agents say, my seller moved out of state, so I'm not going to continue them on a marketing plan. That's absurd to me. Do you know how many leads I get from sellers out of state?
Right.
I mean, are they disconnecting with everyone they know in my network, in my neighborhood? In my geographic area, those sellers live there. They still have roots. It's funny, when I drive by, my wife and I get very philosophical with things. You know, when you see a big, huge tree, an oak tree, it's the roots that make that tree stand up and stay where humans can't push that over. It's the roots. So think about it, everyone. The more roots you have in a neighborhood, and most of our agents, when I recruit agents into our company, mostly what I always ask the question of, if any of you have gone through this with me, I ask if you've been from the area, where do you live? I'm not sure if Ryan's still on this, but Ryan, you remember I asked you that question, didn't I? Or maybe,
Yes.
Yeah, I asked you that question. I always want an office full of people that have roots, because those roots are going to connect you to your business and your livelihood and your career. It's what you do with the marketing to that's going to make the difference.
You have to have a good foundation.
You do. Otherwise, you're always going to be chasing new leads. And what do you think get most dissatisfied? New customers or people that know you or know somebody who knows you? The new ones.
Right.
Usually because instantly their expectation is somewhere you have no idea, and maybe you were so busy trying to close a new lead on the conversion part that you kind of went over some of your conversations that you usually have to set expectations, and now all of a sudden you let their initial expectation be way higher than what your expectation or their expectations should be.
Right.
You must be seen. Brian Buffini has a great saying, and it goes like this: real estate is not the place for secret agents. That's the government.
That's right.
Stop. I have more agents that say, well, I don't want the public to see me. I don't want this. I don't want to put my face out there. I don't want to go on video. How in the world do you want to be relevant if you don't want people to see you? So again, focus on being seen. And then you have to create your best real life action plan, okay? I'm going to send you all these resources. There's a whole set of resources that we're going to talk about with that's going to give you the whole workbook for this class, gives you a ton of resources. There's a My Sphere worksheet that I want you to look at. It's a worksheet that is going to ask you 1,000,001 questions of your sphere. This is how you build out your CRM, okay? Your CRM, you know, when people talk about a CRM, and let's talk about that for a second. A CRM is something that is, it's nothing different than a tool. Technology is tools. You know, when I promote to people, oh, RE/MAX has Booz, a CRM, I'm not saying that it's going to change your world or your life. I'm just saying that they're giving you a tool that if you have all this stuff on paper, your systems, your action plans, all of the information that you have about each client, the CRM is just a software program that manages all of that for you. It houses it, but it's not going to do it without your input. It's not going to do it without your work. You know, you need to find out the company that grooms your pets, you know, your clients' pets. If your clients have pets, do you think it's important to know that they get them groomed?
Yes.
If you can know that information, yeah. Why? Maybe you send them a $5 gift card. Maybe PetSmart, if they go to PetSmart, maybe they have a good sale that they didn't see. And you send them over the coupon if it came in. Or if you send them over the promo code. You know, that's another thing. Easy tactics, guys. If you spend 1 week, every week, you spend a couple hours of what your strategy this week in marketing to your sphere network is. Like, it could be a personal note card saying, hey, you know, I was in Whole Foods and there's a promo code they're having, or I was getting pizza here and there's a promo code for this month. You know, Super Bowl is the promo code. Thought that my network would like to know. If you ever need anything, let me know. Boom, that's it. My wife always tells me when I'm ordering something, hey, check to see if they have promo codes. I never even thought of it. I'm like, man, and she'll ask people, do you have a promo code for whatever we're doing? All right, we're going to jump into working by referral, this boot camp, okay? The idea is now we have our network. So this is going to be geared towards those 2 blue circles, okay? Some of you have already taken this with me, but some of you haven't, so we'll reinforce it. Those 2 blue circles, this is your repeat referral business. And what were the 2 blue circles again? They were advocates and your network, okay? They had Sphere in there, Sphere, AKA network. Remember, there were 3 circles. The next one was your acquaintances. If you don't have enough people here's my rule of thumb. If you don't have enough people totaling 100 that are in your advocate category or your sphere category, add the acquaintances in. Even if you don't know their address, go look them up on RPR, Realtor Property Resource. Go to Bright into their public records section, look them up, find their address, put them in your system. Your job is you need 100 people minimum. 100 people for you to, those of you that have been in business for a while, this will work, but it takes a couple of years of consistency. Remember, proactive, consistent approaches to marketing. And then you can tailor it to the different groups. When I want to go over something real quick with people when you put a contact into a CRM. Let's say, so Nancy Anderson's on this call. I'm going to put Nancy Anderson into my CRM. So I'm going to put Nancy Anderson. I'm going to put Nancy's email. I'm going to put Nancy's phone number. I'm going to put Nancy's mailing address. If I don't have it, I might call Nancy and say, hey, Nancy, I'm going to send you guys out something. I have a magazine I want to send everybody out, or I have this I'm going to send everybody out. I want to send you something. Can I have your mailing address? If Nancy says, I don't want you to have my mailing address, do you think she qualifies as an advocate?
Probably not.
Not at all. She probably doesn't even qualify in my network.
Right.
So at that point, she's an acquaintance that doesn't want me to mail anything to her.
Right.
So I could have two categories of acquaintances, email acquaintances and then mailing acquaintances. Okay. It doesn't mean I sign her off on my whole system, but this is that whole bullseye that we saw early on. This is how you rationalize and strategize it. So let's say Nancy says, oh, that's great, John. Yeah, here's my mailing address. Boom. I'm putting her into my CRM. Now I might determine, okay, Nancy's a real estate agent. Question, can a real estate agent be an advocate for another real estate agent's business?
Sure. Yeah.
Of course.
Referral.
Hey, I have the best real estate agent you got to use. You know, I handle this area, this person handles that area. So Nancy goes in under real estate agent. She also goes in under advocacy. Nancy's in my network. She goes in under a category network. Here's why. If I'm going to create a plan that I have, let's say we'll keep things simple, 20 touch plan, or even a 12 touch plan, which is once a month, a 12 touch plan to my network, Nancy's going to be in that. But now if I do an advocate only plan, which is my top 50, I have Nancy as an advocate, she's in that. So now let's say those are 6 special interactions I do, 6 special touches. So now I just moved Nancy from 12 touches to 18 touches because she's getting my network touches. And now I selected from my CRM, okay, this every other month, I'm sending them a gift or some item of value or a note card to my advocates only. So now I just pull my advocates up in the CRM. So now it's 18 touches go to Nancy, right? And then let's say twice a year, I'm giving an actual gift to her, like a pound cake or whatever. I pull up my high level advocates and I select them again, 2 touches. That's now 20 touches. Do you guys see the importance of categorizing things properly in the CRM? They must have multiple categories.
Yes.
If she was a past buyer, I have a category for past buyers. If she was a past seller, I have a category for past seller. Can somebody be both a past buyer and a past seller? Yes or no?
Yes.
Of course. And then you can target market. Those are the other 2 key words in all of this. Target market. I'm targeting past buyers on this marketing campaign that I'm doing, and that's why I'm pulling them up under my CRM. I'm targeting my past sellers on this marketing campaign. What does that mean? Let's say tax time comes and I pull everybody's Alta. Well, I can pull up my past buyers and then I can see when they bought. And then I can narrow that down and say, okay, these are the people that I'm going to send Altas out. If you do the proper work now in your CRM, when you want to do the marketing, it's going to take you 10 minutes. If you don't do that work, it's going to take you about an hour, 2 hours to go through all that stuff. That is why you use CRMs. So the best CRM is the CRM you're actually going to use. CRMs also create listing plans. All of the listing activities and buyer activities we're giving you, you can create the same plan in the CRM that will send you reminders. You put a new client in, boom, you put new buyer activity plan, and it hits and will set you up on all those activities you should do. So let's get back to the repeat referral. You're going to focus on repeat and referral people from your network. The network would be anything from, to my opinion, acquaintances, networks, advocates, depending how many people. If those are 500 people, you can then trim that down to just be your advocates and your sphere focus. And then if you're at 150, 200 people there, this plan is going to be 30 plus touches. So basically you're going to reach out to these people 30 times or more a year. And that's how you get your 20 to 22% conversion rate. Now me, I would love to have 300 people in that network, which I roughly do. And if I do that at a high level, I'm probably going to get a 20% return of 300 people, which is how many closings? 60 closings. Well, I'm not doing it because I don't have the manpower to manage 60 closings. So I have 150 people in there and I convert 20%. What's 20% of 150? It's 30. That's roughly the closings I get every year. So you see how my plan is directly correlates to my results. As I add more people, my closing count every year comes up because I'm adding more people in my top referral network. Those create sellers and buyers. You want to implement amazing services systems. Okay. You can call it anything you want. You can call it client care systems. You can call it a dynamic referral system, whatever. It's a reach out system. I look at it like this. It's the highest level of customer service. That's the system you're creating for whatever you're doing with those people at that time. If it's after the sale, I just reached before this. So every day I go through my database, very little, like 5 names a day. That's kind of how I metric it, just so it's not overwhelming. And today I went to people that I just like had all off the radar for the last month. I took their house off the market in Port Richmond. With all the events that happened, I shot them an email today saying, hey guys, I saw what was happening. I just wanted to see how you were doing. And they replied back, thank you for thinking of us. Do you think that's powerful? Of course.
Yeah.
It costs me nothing. It costs me nothing, zero. But I'm staying in the front of their mind, so I get business. And I truly care. I like the people. If you can work with people you like and you care and you treat them well, you're always going to have business. And then yard signs, home ads, internet ads, just listed ads, all of that are just methods of marketing. Okay? That's all. It's just a method of the marketing. And that will create more repeat and referral. So let me go into this. We'll dive into this. We're going to teach you how to go after these people. Remember, in your network, everyone knows at least 3 to 5 people who will buy or sell in a year. That's why the referral system works. We already talked about who makes up this group. I want to get right down to the system. This is how I do my system. I set up my database beginning with basics. I already went over this with you. I should have Nancy's, birthday in there. I should have her phone number in there. One service I use is EvaBot for my clients. EvaBot, EVABOT, but there's tons of services like this. And what it does is it's a gift sending service. And I can pick a $10 gift. I don't have to go for $50, $100, $10 gift. If I have 100 people in my database and I send each one a $10 gift, how much money am I spending in my marketing? $1,000. But guess what? I'm getting a high level touch as part of my 30 touch system. So that should definitely be a component of your marketing plan. Okay. My instant budget's $1,000 for their birthdays. If you want to trim it, send them a $5 gift. They might maybe it sends a little thing of tea or coffee. I don't know. It's still better than nothing. But EvaBot is an online app that I set up my account. It has, I spent extra money, so it has my branded boxes, and it sends the consumer, it sends whoever I put in there, the recipient, a link saying, happy birthday. John is sending you a personalized gift. Please answer these questions, and it interacts. But the beautiful thing about the program, it interacts with them. It sends them a customized gift tailored to their needs. But what I like about the program, it keeps the information in their database and emails me a reminder to send them another birthday gift at their birthday. So I'm not just relying on that. Understand, this is where people make mistakes. That's just a small component of my overall plan. It just makes it easier. So I don't have to hire somebody to do all this stuff. I can do it all from my app, from my phone. The better you get using this, the less staff and labor you're going to need. Okay? Grade your database. You can call them A+ advocates. You can call them A, B, C, D. A is your high level advocate. B is your other network that you think are pretty moving towards an advocate. C is just your acquaintances. And D, just Buffini says delete them. It's not a bad idea. I just keep them in there. Maybe I'll do like a mass mailing once or twice a year. Cross-reference database on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and other social media platforms. Remember, integrate everything. Make sure that you're interacting with these people that you're sending things to in social media platforms. This takes time, guys. Those of you who are new in the business, I promise you, if you do this from the beginning, you're going to have a lot of success in the years to come. Some of those agents I mentioned that came into business in the last 7 years, they started their business with this stuff, and now they're killing it. 15 million in sales volume, 12 million in sales volume. But it's because they set the systems up right from the beginning. They didn't just start running out showing houses and ignore all of these things. And then your first year, you should set a metric trying to close 10% of this after your first year. By year 3, you should be at 20% if you stay consistent, okay? And here's an example of the program, okay? 12 times, this is my program. My program comes up to 52 touches when I add it all up. But this is for my top 150, okay? They get an email, they get a mailed newsletter every month. And there's all services you can do for this stuff, guys. Just start looking them up. There's always newsletters. You can be part of Brian Buffini's system. You can go into Exact, Morris Marketing Company. You can go into Max Center under their under their vendors, and find any vendor that has 12 newsletters a year sent to your clients. You can then do an email blast. You can do that from Booj. You can create your own email blast out to people. I use BombBomb. Everybody here knows I use BombBomb. I like BombBomb. I'm used to it. It allows a video email interaction. It tracks it. I like it. I can create, and some of the content's already pre-done, and I just send it out. I don't send it at the same time I send this. They alternate. And then I have American Lifestyle going out to my top 150. I have 100. I think I have 100 people in American Lifestyle. I'm okay spending that money a year. I forget what I pay a year. I probably pay close to $10,000 a year in my marketing. But again, in my referral marketing, I spend probably between $10,000 and $15,000 a year. But if my goal is to hit $150,000 in gross commission income or more, I should not be spending less than $15,000 a year. I should definitely be spending $15,000 or more. Okay. And then I send personal notes out or cards. If you don't want to write a personal note, just buy greeting cards and say, hey, I was thinking of you. It could be an inspirational greeting card, anything, just get it out there to them. Okay. And then I'll personally deliver an item of value every year. All right. I do that with my pound cakes. I personally deliver them. This year, my wife and I are going to start 4 weeks in advance. We're going to bring our kids in as many as we can. Now, as I'm delivering it, how do you integrate social media and these other platforms when I'm making a personal delivery of a pound cake at the holiday season? Anyone? Anybody have an idea of how to integrate social media?
Video the delivery when you send the pound cake and show how happy you are.
Yep. Even if it's just you and the kids at the store or yourself at the store, that one photo, image, video post will resonate to thousands in your network. So that's huge. You just capitalized on it. And then if you can better create more creative ways to get it out there on different social media platforms, you're even doing more.
Can you let
Mail
us
a real...
I'm sorry. Can you let us know where you get the pound cakes?
Oh, where I get them?
Yeah.
I get them at Stocks in the city, which is really difficult because you have to buy them in cash in limited quantity. So I have to do them every week. I gotta go pick them up.
Oh, wow.
So Stocks is like the most famous place in the city for pound cakes, but everybody knows they're getting a Stocks pound cake. So what I also do is I send my database an email that they're going to get the pound cake, but they have to fill out what type of pound cake they want. If they don't fill it out, I don't deliver the pound cake to them. Okay. So I'm telling them in multiple ways. So I hit like 3 touches out of the pound cakes itself. You know, the image of me doing it, the actual drop off of the pound cake, and the like, hey, order your make sure you order your pound cake. Believe it or not, when I send it to like 150 people, only like 70 order it. And then if somebody down the road says, oh, I never got one, I'll say, oh, let me go back on my list to see if did you complete the form? Oh, I never completed it. And then I'll say, oh, well, let me know what you want. I'll have somebody drop one off. And boom, I just got 2 more interactions. You can set rules on your things that you do. Mail birthday and holiday cards. Oh, mail a real item of value. I recently I always like to mail an item of value that fits in a first class postage envelope with a personal note card to make it easy. And I have an assistant who just fills all that stuff out and puts it in and mails them for me. But it always has to fit. It has to be small enough where it doesn't increase the weight. So you can do a trial by error, take one item to the post office and weigh it, and then you know it's good for. And I always use similar items every year. I recently did the contactless touching things. It's plastic. It's out of one of the Remax vendors. And that's another thing. I'll once every 6 months, I'll come up with the marketing items I'm going to purchase. But when COVID hit, I started looking, and it was it goes around your finger. You fit it in your pocket. It weighs like nothing. It's just plastic, and you can use that on like your ATM machines and things like that, so people don't have to touch. Really nice branding item, and it doesn't cost anything else in a card. So all of my people get that. I send 150 of those out. The reinforcement of social media, birthday, holidays, and host a client appreciation party. You know, the better you get with your database, the more information they know, and the more that you implement, the more referrals you're going to get. Think about this. If you know all of the wives out there, let's say you did a wives night out only for married women who it's like, hey, get out for tonight. I want to take you and get some, we're going to go to a vineyard and wine taste. You just had a client appreciation party targeted to a certain group in your network. Then let's say you had a cigar night for the men, for the husbands. You could spin this off and only have moms and dads. You can send Mother's Day cards out. You can say Father's Day. You can send Father's Day cards out. But you need the information in order to do that. That's my point. Okay. And then this is basically how I do it. Every month, it's basically like January, newsletter, email blast, social media, and they get American Life. February, newsletter, email blast, social media, they get a small item of value. March, alternating American Lifestyle. June, they get nothing different. It's just basic. But this totals up to 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This is 22 items without the social media component, without the phone calls, the text message, the client appreciation party. Well, actually, here's the client appreciation party. I'm sorry. Oh, but that, I think I'm notifying them of the client appreciation party in that event. That's what that is. Everybody understand this system?
Yes. How do you handle the client appreciation party now in the middle of COVID? What do you do?
That's a good question. I haven't scheduled one for this year or any event yet because I'm probably not. I think I'm just going to sometimes you have to go away from the script.
Right.
But be cautious when you go away from the script. So maybe I can do something a little, maybe I really think that with everything that's going on in this world, taking that off the list, but having people on the pound cakes and stuff, it's all going to have a great effect. Okay.
Okay.
So that's that system. Now we're going to jump into, for those of you looking to do open houses. Oops, that's the wrong one. We're going to talk a little bit about open houses. Okay. Sorry, guys. Just loading on my computer here. Let's see. All right. Now we spoke briefly about the open houses. I said when I let me just close that. I said when I attempt to open house, I always look at it like people that come through the open house. My goal is to add them to my database. That's really what I want to do. Okay. And this session, we're actually going to end on the workbook I have for you. It's going to kind of summarize a lot of this up, give you a little bit some more tips, a little bit of action steps to do, give you some handouts. The workbook will have more information on all of this. It doesn't dive as much into the open house, but it'll dive into like the marketing efforts that you can do that we talked about. Direct mail, social media marketing. We're going to talk about more of the new levels of marketing in the next classes as well. But I'll end it at the open house. The open house is probably when I'm creating, let's say I have 30 to 40 closings I want to do every year. And I'm pretty sure I can get 30 closings from my network. My next area that I focus my marketing efforts on is open houses. And I figure if I can hit 6 open houses a year to 10 open houses a year, I should be able to land 5 clients out of that, like 5 sales out of that open house. So what I want to do is I want to make open houses more than, okay, I'm just going to sit an open house. You have to look at it as an opportunity. You want to make this thing a spectacle. You want to make this thing an event. You want to make it, you want to imagine that all the cameras are on you, and this is your opportunity to really demonstrate to the community what you're capable of doing, who you are. When you can always raise the bar for everything you do, you're always going to do better. You're always going to have more success on your marketing efforts and through your business. Raise the bar on your open houses. Make them great events that people want to go to, that people talk to you about. I have a listing in Brigantine. I got them from a Cinnaminson open house. I sold their house in Palmyra. They did not buy the house that I was in Cinnaminson on. I actually, in this open house that I had, it was a rehab. I wasn't even the agent on duty at the open house. It was my rehab. I did the rehab. And I just got to talking to them at the open house. Now, keep in mind, this open house was advertised in advance. It was a rehab property. It was like a party. Now, it was a party within certain measures. We had mimosas. We had children's juice boxes. We had children's snack packs. We had other items of value. We had music going on. We had pastries. We had everything there. But we also had a thought out process so people can grab little goodie bags to take with them. We had marketable items. The setup in itself was probably 2 hours prior to the open house. So this was we like to do these as events. I always call this is the open house launch. This is the launch of the first open house. Understand these principles, and then you can focus on how to do it with COVID. Don't get caught with COVID right now, because COVID's going to end at some point, or we're just going to adapt to how COVID is. So it's all about being adaptable. But we created an event. So these people come in. We get a lot of people. I have the cold air balloon, the big Remax balloon plugged in on the outside outlet on the front lawn. I'm pulling people in from all over. Plenty of signs all over the place. We advertise it in advance. People come to the open house. First thing I do, how many of you, well, let me ask you a question, everyone. How many of you that are not been selling real estate for a while have gone to an open house? Any of you?
Yes.
Okay. When you go to an open house, Ryan, before you became a real estate agent, what was the most impressive open house you've gone to?
I don't really think I've been to an impressive one, to be honest.
And that's even further to my point. Nothing stuck with Ryan. And he's even a real estate agent. He's a real estate agent now. So his perception would be even greater. People do open houses because they're like, oh, it's a chore. I got to do the open house. Make it an event. And this was not me. Coaches told me to do it, and I still didn't do it. This was all my wife. I mean, she's bringing platters, silver platters from the house with the presentation of the pastries is as important as the presentation of the house in her mind. The selection of pastries is as important. We ran open houses where we had 50, 60 people coming through an open house. So we had three people manning the open house, somebody to greet people. So we would have a greeter. The greeter would not be, it's interesting. I'm going to outline this open house that I had in Cinnaminson. And this is not to say anything negative. So I did this open house with my team. We did it when Guillermo was with our office with his team. He wasn't at the open house. He had his team member who they trained to host open houses in such a manner. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It's just different styles. And we had ours where at the time, we had one person who was playing music, greeting people really nice, saying, come on in, oh, welcome, come on in. Would you mind signing in, please? And then if you want to, there's some food over there. If the kids want something, there's some things we have for the kids. Go around the house, try it on. And if you have any questions, come to us. That approach versus the person who we actually had in charge of taking the leads, her approach was logging all their information down like she was on like she was interviewing someone. And then she had a whole series of questions that she was trained to ask them at the end. Versus I just go with the flow and say, hey, how did you like the house? What brings you in? You know, what are you guys doing today? You know, do you live in the neighborhood? Sincere questions. Things I built a rapport. And guess what? Every time I had this client, this couple, I would say, hey, well, you can go over to, I think her name was Kristen or Christy. Hey, you can go over to Kristen and she'll take your information. And they would come back. They're like, no, we just want to talk to you. We just want to talk to you. They took my card, reached out to me afterwards, gave me all their information, said, we're listing our house in Palmyra. We want you to come and take a look at it. And we're buying a house in Cinnaminson. They just gave me their Shore property to list in Brigantine, and I'm selling them another property in Brigantine. I can't emphasize enough, this is a people business. It all matters on the rapport you build. Yes, it's stressful. Those people might call me an hour later and I'm done, I'm spent, I'm emotionally spent. But you know what? I got to get on the phone. That's what we do here, and talk with them. That make the open house impressionable. If you can make an open house an impression, you will get business. I can promise you that, because your goal is to get attendees through. You know, of course, your client's the seller, and the seller wants to know, did you sell the open house? Did you sell at the open house? So how do you think I approach that with my sellers? Let me ask you this question. Should the seller's expectation be, and you're all real estate agents now, should the seller's expectation be that this house should sell at the open house? No.
No.
Now, maybe in today's crazy market where everyone's fleeing COVID into the suburbs, but I'm talking about the norm. It should not be that the house is going to sell at the open house. So your conversation with the seller leading up to that is, you know, look, I'm not going to tell you that your house won't sell at the open house, but it's usually unlikely that it'll sell at the open house. I mean, I've seen agents do offer stations at an open house and all this stuff, and that's great. But I'll tell the seller, I'll say, but how many times do you want to walk in the door and then be committed to buy that when you're walking in? Do you feel comfortable doing that? Most sellers will say, heck no. But most agents don't want to spend the time to have these conversations with people because it is time consuming. So you have to set the expectations, say, but here's what we're looking to do. Our goal, not much unlike a car dealership, is for us to get this out to the open so people can physically see it. They want to see the house. They may see, I have a walkthrough tour and everything online. They really want to see if what they're seeing online matches what their expectation is. And I'll tell sellers, I'll say they may not be ready to buy that house tomorrow. They may not be ready to buy that house for 3 months, but they may have a relative who is ready to buy it. Because I've heard real estate agents tell sellers, I won't let anybody through that house that's not qualified. What madness is that? Can you imagine if car dealers said, you're not allowed on the car lot unless you're qualified? Think about it, everyone. Would a car dealership sell more or less cars if they left people on the lot that were not qualified? They'd sell less cars. So let's use some common sense here. You got to get people to see what the product is. It's called a public open for a reason. When you do that, expect people who may not qualify for the house. However, if they tag it on social media, now that social media is involved, but even before social media, how many times have you seen somebody come through an open house, tell someone else, and that person bought the house? Any of you?
Yes, I have.
I've definitely had that. So somebody else was the vehicle for promoting that property because they physically experienced what the property was. Again, it goes back into referrals. People love giving referrals. That's the other thing. Whether it's a referral of a person for services or a referral about a property or going out to eat, people love to talk about good experiences. I know it gets jaded in our minds with everything that we see on social media and the news and all that stuff. Believe it or not, people are longing for good experiences. So, which, by the way, if you have a good experience at any of these trainings, please, by all means, go on social media and say it. Just a little quick plug there. But the point is, don't discount it. You know, embrace it and make it work for you. Because I tell my sellers, I'll say, the more this gets projected out there, the better for you. Because that's getting you to different groups, to buyer groups. Okay, and that's the whole point of marketing. That's what people want. You hire me to market your house. This is the point. Your whole goal is to approach new clients. This is the new marketing type of business. You want to create buyers or sellers out of it, actually. You might get sellers because you might have neighborhood people who are looking to sell their house, or even people from another neighborhood. If they like you enough, connect with you, they'll use you, okay? And then they're going to do client care systems. You're going to put your client care systems, just like you do in your other plans, into this. And then that creates a just sold and resonates out to a whole new marketing plan. You can put just sold, you can go out to other people in the neighborhood and say, just sold this property, and that might bring you new business again. So it's a full cycle plan doing the open house, okay? Oops. All right. Okay, let's go through this. This is a key metric I want you to look at. And remember, I designed this course. I'm jamming in like 3 trainings in one session each time. So this course is designed to move fast, to try to keep up. But so there's 3 phases of success in real estate, okay? Per momentum. There's consistent, efficient, and proficient. Now, getting to proficiency is the highest level in anything that we do, whether you're working out, whether you're doing your trade. I can't even honestly say, I mean, some of you may think I'm proficient. I can't even honestly say I'm at proficiency yet. I think proficiency is always the level you want to try to get to. And if you reach that, you raise the level of proficiency. But consistency, those of you new, those of you that don't do all of these things on a consistent basis, the first thing you should do is strive to hit consistency. Now, most of you that are experienced are going to float between these 2 metrics, the consistency and the efficiency metric, phase 1 and phase 2. So this is how this works. Let's say I tell any agent, I say, listen, Joe and Jane agent, I'm going to give you a plan of sitting open houses, and you're going to sit open houses for 45 weeks. This is your job, okay? Because you don't have that much business. You're focusing on your network. You're going to start building that. And now I want you to physically sit open houses. And you're going to attend 45 weeks of open houses. And you're going to do 2 opens a week. So you can do them both on Sunday. You can do them on Saturday and Sunday, and you can do them on Thursday. And this is the best thing. I'll have agents go, well, John, I didn't get into real estate to work weekends. And I was waiting for somebody, like I see Becky smiling, because Becky's an agent for many years, and she knows, Becky, how many times do you work weekends? All the time, I'm sure. Real estate agents are always working weekends, or they're hiring somebody to work on.
Sorry.
every weekend, right, Becky?
Every weekend.
It's 24/7.
24. So it's up to you to decide whether you hire somebody on your team or you bring somebody along to give you a day or 2 off. But, you know, I would complain about this to my wife, and she'd say, why are you complaining about this? Your weekend should be like Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday. Why are you complaining? Go sit open houses. And really, this is where I'll pull Ryan Watson or anybody else in. I'm like, yeah, but football's on Sunday. And it's like, they're self-focused needs, but that's my career. Now, when I look next to and I know Becky and Nancy and all have had this in the past, but when I look now and I see a 4.5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, hell with football, I'm sitting in open house. I'm sitting here trying to build my network. So perspective changes in your world. But my point is, I could give a new agent this task: 45 weeks, 2 open houses a week. That equals 90 open houses. You will average, and this is a statistic, if you market it properly, you will average 5 people through an open house. Now, 1 week you might get 10, 1 week you might get 1. The average at the end of the year will be you'll have 5 people through each open house. Okay? That's 450 interactions. They call them talks. I call them interactions or opportunities. Okay? I have 450 opportunities that I just interacted with somebody that, guess what, had some interest in real estate. No, they're not tire kickers. They're not wasting my time. How can I waste my time? I've heard an agent say, I was doing an open house and that somebody wasted my time. Really? You had the house was open. It's like, how's that wasting your time? Your time's at the house.
It's an opportunity.
100%. So I like to call it opportunities. 450 opportunities. Here's where the metrics come in. This is where you need to focus on your skill sets. And this is why, as you get the proficiency, the metrics increase. And new agents should be able to calculate about, let's say, 45% appointment set from that group per year. Okay? 45%, which is not unusual. If you're interacting with 450 people that year, you put them into your CRM, you might work out in a way to get a phone call. That's an interaction, a phone meeting or a walk or a physical meeting on a buyer consult or a listing appointment. That is a roughly 45%. And then you have your show up rate. Maybe half of them cancel. Notice in the proficiency metric, better agents will say, I don't have half cancel. Of course you don't, because you're better at what you do. That's why you're at 70%. But I'm talking like newer agents here, 50%. You actually, out of 450 people, if you really want to make this an easy conversion, you say, my goal is to set up 20 to 25 meetings with 450 for every 450 people I get. 20 to 25 meetings. In other words, as I convert those into closings, I want to try to capture 10 closings out of 450 opportunities. So if you really want to basically break down the metrics, you can say, out of the 450 opportunities that I gave myself that year by committing to 45 weeks of 2 open houses a week and properly promoting and sitting the open houses, I closed 10 deals. I got 30 from my network, 10 from open houses, 40 closings. My average sale price was $250,000. My average commission was $7,000 in commission. Let's say I did some lower commissions or whatever. I got 40 times 7. What's 40 times 7? $280,000. Where in the world can I give you a map to make $280,000 without a high-level college degree?
Right here.
The question is, why are agents not making it? Why do we think?
They're not following the rule.
They're not following.
They're not consistent.
They're not doing this. They're not, yeah, 100%. They're not staying consistent in it. The reason this course talks about your limited beliefs, remember back when we talked about setting limited beliefs. The same thing is setting limited beliefs. I will close 0% leads that I don't generate. I'm not going to close a lead that I don't generate because it never got generated. So you have to focus on the metrics. You have to focus on the opportunities. The opportunities come by your efforts. Your efforts create the opportunities. So this plan in itself is powerful. Okay? That's how agent. Now you can break it down. You can cut this in half. You can do 1 open house a week. You can do 2 open houses a month. So those agents on teams, if you did 24 open houses, okay? You did 24 open houses. Let's break it down. And you set 10% of, so let's say you did 24 open houses and you have 5 people, what is that, average 5 through? So let's do half of this, 20 something open houses. I'm sorry, that's 90. So let's say we did 20, let's do 25 and we're setting 5, 10, that's 100. Good math people out there, is that 125? I think it's 125 opportunities, right?
Yeah, I think so.
125 opportunities. Let's say we cut that in half. Of the 125 opportunities, we got like roughly, we set 10% of that. So let's say we set 10% of 125, that's 12 and a half, 13. And then let's say we close roughly 40% of that, as you break this down, or even less. You're going to end up closing like 3 to 4 deals. Probably 3. Is it worth the close? Is it worth doing this as part of your business, as part of your work week schedule to close 3 to 4 transactions? Of course. Where else are you going to get them? Now, if you're at the $300,000 price range, it's the same thing. $9,000 commission, you close 3 or 4 of those, you're almost at $40,000. This is how a new agent should close 30,000. We bring new agents in. Our model is we want agents to close roughly $30,000 in GCI their first year. We can give them the path to do it. We are not going to do it for you. We're giving you the path. That's how you do it. Now, if you need help of, hey, who should I connect with? I don't have listings. How do I work open houses? I'll ask Becky, I'll ask Nancy, you guys list properties. Do you think there's always a house that could be hosted as an open house?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Tons of opportunities. We have 75 to 80 list agents in our office, 50 or 60 are listing agents. There are we have more opportunities than we have people willing to work the opportunities. They're there. And the best part about it is, if you do this every week, you are going to become an excellent host of an open house. Steph Roach made an entire career doing open houses. And I will tell you this is a fact, and Steph will come on here. As you notice, Steph never comes to my trainings. Becky, you know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's never at my trainings.
Never.
So I did an interesting test, because I'm like that person that always loves to do tests. I was in the Mount Laurel office, saw Steph Roach. I said, Steph, come on in here for a sec. Steph's always running around like, I got a million places to do. I got to do this, okay? That's how Steph is. She's always busy. I said, you got a minute? She's like, yeah, I got a minute. Come on in. I said, Steph, I got a question for you. Okay, shoot. I said, how many people come through to your open houses? Oh, I don't know. If you had to put a number on it, how many? She's like, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's say 5. I went through asking her questions on how many people she closes. And guess what? Her metrics came out to this phase right here, the phase 3. She didn't even know she came out to those metrics until I asked her. These metrics were created by industry standards. So agents should look at it and say, I should easily be able to hit the phase 1 standard. I should easily be able to hit the phase 2 standard if I get to that point, and I want to hit the phase 3 standard. So open houses are probably the second most important lead generation focus that agents should be doing. Okay. Let me see. So in the open house format, they have the label the looker method. The label the looker is a method into interacting with the person that's coming through the open house and determining where they are in the buying process. I always look at it a little bit different. I don't like to create a label on somebody, because A, that's why we have all the problems we have in the world today, and B, I don't know the person. So my focus is, I told you, when I see somebody coming through an open house, can I make them an advocate? And let me just interact with them. Let me see if I like them. Because, like, guess what? I may not like the person. I don't want to work with people I hate. Then I'm going to be miserable with what I'm doing. I'll pass them off to another agent who doesn't mind it. If they don't mind it, it all depends. Maybe I got a referral if they want, or maybe they don't want to work with me. But the point is, what I like about this chart, have some tools. So one of the things we want to preach, and be prepared. The newer agents struggle because you're not as prepared. You don't have the knowledge, the experience. That experience takes years. That's why most real estate is not like any other, is not unlike any other business where people open their own business. That you need to go through 5 years to have success. And even after your 5 years, when you can feel that you're in a well-sustainable business, all of us have setbacks in it. In year 9, year 7, year 10, we've all hit it. It's not unusual. But you know how to move forward again, because sometimes these trainings are designed to help people get back on track because we fall off from what we're doing. But always have a series of tools with you. Know the neighborhood. I would urge you this: if you're doing an open house for somebody and you're a new agent, ask the agent you're hosting for if you can have a private tour of the house in advance. Don't you think it's going to make it so much better? How many times have you gone through an open house with a client and the hosting agent knows nothing about the house?
A lot of times. A
lot. And I tell you, as an agent, when I'm with my client, I'm like, geez, glad they were here to help us. Because as an agent, I will say, hey, you're the hosting agent. Tell us all about the house. I love doing that, especially like agents that are competitive. We're competing with everybody. So, but because I don't know anything about that house, it's on my MLS sheet. It's like, I looked it up a little bit. I'm trying to find out. And this is another listing technique we talked about during our winning the listing. Try to reach out to every person showing your listing prior to them seeing the listing, so you can educate them about the features of the listing. I mean, you're a salesperson. You're doing your listing justice. Same thing when you're hosting an open house. Have the person who's hosting the open house tour the house. Tell them all the great things about it. Tell them everything you know. And not in a salesy way. Try to tell them like, hey, this is what I like about it. You know, this is really cool. Check this out. Highlight this. And if somebody comes up and says you don't know how to answer. Be prepared. Say, you know what? Say, that's a good question. Say, I'm hosting it, but it's not my listing. But let me find out for you. Don't say, well, I'll find out and I'll get back to you. Say it like, let me find out for you. Does that sound more convincing of someone who cares to find out for them by saying it like that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great dialogue. Yeah, let me find out for you. I'll get, and then you get back to them. If they're leaving, say, hey, do I have your information? Because when I'm done this, I'm going to get back to you about that. 90% conversion tactic of getting that person's information by saying that. So have tax information, have local school information. Don't tell them this is a great school district. You could say it's a highly rated school district. Here's the information in school district. I encourage you, if you're looking in this area, call them. They will tell you everything you want to know about the school district and the community. A smart lawyer always said, always be the source of the source, but you can totally promote and brag the source of the source. Or I'm sorry, the source, because you're the source of the source. Okay? So it doesn't mean you have to hold your hands behind your, the problem with some of the trainings that we end up in is real estate agents come out of this and they're like, well, I'm not allowed to say that. I'm not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say it's a great school district. Or you can say, hey, my kids go here and I think it's a great school district. Or I have friends that go here and they think it's a great school district. You can say those things. Let's not take the human element away from everything. What the attorneys are saying is you cannot say this is the best school district without any, you can't say this home inspector is better than all of them. You can say, I think they are because of my own experience, and urge them, look, I want you to check it out on your own. Okay? Have information, have local restaurants, have things that people love. I mean, for those of you in Mount Laurel or the local areas, in that area, Laurel Acres is such an attraction right now. Would you not agree?
Yes.
That park is amazing. It's packed. It's a petri dish at this point, but everyone's going there because it's outside, but it's great for kids. Know the areas, know what you're selling. Okay. People don't just buy house. They buy the location. All right. Price the home. Host open houses that fit the price point of your goals. If you're setting your 30 closings in your business plan and the average sale price is $250,000, don't get clever and say, I'm going to host $4 million open houses and be done. Because you're probably not converting $4 million open houses. I can promise you that. And then if you're going to work $150,000 ones, make sure you jam 2 of those up into the one. Instead of doing 1 open, now you're doing 2 at $150,000. You have to learn how to work the metrics into your business plan. Make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
Try to make sure it is or create a high traffic area so people come and go to the open house. Lots of signage, things like that. Make sure it shows well inside and out. That's something you got to get on the listing agent to be on the same page with. Hey, that was a show. Is there any efforts or, can I go through this? And I'll give your opinion. Just because you're not a professional in this for a long period of time, if you're new, does not mean you don't have a sense of decency of how a house should represent itself. You were a buyer. You could be a buyer. You're a homeowner. How does this property look? And if you don't know, go through a Toll Brothers new construction open house and tell me your experience on the designed unit. Come out, hold that as a standard. I want houses to be at that standard. That's your minimal standard of how the house should be. Okay? If there's roaches running up the wall during the open house, I don't care how charismatic you are. That's not helping you. You're going to have problems. So, set a baseline for everything that you do. Go to a new construction open house and then say, you know what, I need to do it at minimal like that or better. And then look around at how other realtors are doing open houses. And you'll see the flimsy sign flapping like this with a little arrow going into the ground. And you have to figure out where the heck that arrow was supposed to go. And the door will be basically locked. The realtor, you finally go into the open house and the half of the lights are off and you hear the toilet flush and the realtor comes out. Oh, hi, I'm sorry. I wasn't there. I mean, we've all been through bad open houses. So always have a standard that you want and raise the bar. Okay. That is the worst though, when you're hosting an open and you have to use the bathroom and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to hold it for an hour and a half because I can't go. What if somebody comes through the door? So, note to self, make sure you go before you open up the open house. Okay. Because you can go 10 minutes. If you had a lot of coffee that morning, you can go 10 minutes beforehand and have the door locked. And then when people come, say, oh, I'm sorry, the open house starts at 1 and we didn't want to let people just walk through and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, shows well inside and out. Prepare for it. One key component if you're preparing, try to advertise the home 3 days prior. Now, if you're in towns like Morristown, you can't do that. You have to, and by the way, for those of you that don't know, and Nancy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Morristown uses the green and white open house signs, right?
Correct. Yes.
You're not allowed to use a branded open house sign that's not on your lawn of the listing.
That's right.
On other people's corners. It has to be a Morristown purchase at the Association of Realtors, green and white open house. It's a generic sign.
They'll
And
find
Morristown Township will not let you have anything other than that. And you have to have it out that morning, right, Nancy?
Yeah, you can't put it out a couple days before.
So note to self, check with your local municipality, ask the listing agent, okay? Buy a clipboard. In modern times, it's called this, the iPad or the tablet. Have that stuff. That could be your open house registry is built into that, and that can export to your CRM. Know the tax records. Pull that stuff up. Have the information ready in case people need. What are the taxes here? It's so much better if you have it off, if you rehearse it off the top of your head. And if it's like 5875, you can say, I think it's between 58, 5900. Let me check. But now you sound like you know so much more than trying to memorize 5875. Okay? Know the comps in the area. Know the active listings. The active listings are the competition. So people will always come in and say, well, the one down there has this, or this has this. And just engage in a conversation. You say, you know, oh, that's interesting. Say, well, what, in curiosity, and you can determine where you are with, if it's only you and that other person in the house and nobody else, and they are saying this other house is so much better. I have curious questions. I'll be like, you know, I really value bringing that to my attention. What do you think the price difference for that and this should be? Like, how do you value that in dollars as a consumer? See, I don't like to ask questions like, how do you value that in dollars, question mark. I like to say, how do you value that in dollars as a consumer? Because I don't want the consumer to flip, well, how do you value? You're the professional. That's why I add as a consumer onto my dialogue. And you have to rehearse this for it to come off the top of your mind so fast, off of the tip of your tongue so fast. But be very intentional. And that's another word, intentional, that we always talk about. Be very intentional with what your conversations are, okay?
Yep.
Have your basic pricing tools. All right. This is the action part of the open house. Put plenty of signs on the way so people can get there. Arrive early. I say arrive an hour beforehand, 30 minutes at the earliest. Don't get there. I used to run in 10 minutes beforehand, tie hanging down here, got to go to the bathroom, can't, coffee spilled on my shirt because that was the only source of energy I had that morning. You know, be prepared. Make sure the thermostats, the temperature is comfortable. I always urge my sellers. How many sellers will say, oh, leave the thermostat, if it's a vacant home, leave it at 60. I don't want to pay the bill. And I'm like, then people aren't going to want to be in your house. And it's not going to feel like home. And they're going to envision themselves living in a cold cave because you set the precedence of that in the environment of the house. Bump that up to 72 degrees. If it costs you extra $50 a month and you really have a problem paying it, take it off the commission when we sell it. I'll tell them, I need a product to sell. Don't sit there and give people something frigid, and don't make it sweltering hot in there as well. Flush all the toilets. I don't even need to emphasize that anymore. Open up all the blinds.
Yeah.
We don't want to see a floater hanging around in the toilets while people go through the open house. I know this stuff sounds like common sense, but people they never even check the bathroom. Turn on the lights, including the closets, if you can, including the basement. Have nice smelling something. You know, now it used to be candles, but now they have all these different spa-like types of smell, like oils and things like that. Yeah, the infusers. Jen and Anita use that in the office in Morristown. I love that. I always go in and I'm like, man, it's so invigorating to go in there. I always have music on in the background. Now, my advice, don't have heavy metal or gangster rap on in the background. Have something that's nice and flows with the touring a house. The other thing I do that I like is I have my open house notes are already signed. I have about 20 of them ready every open house. And I have personalized notes and I have them in an envelope and I'll put a little item of value in there, like a pen or something like that. I give people gifts at open houses, swag bags, things like that. Capri DeMario just made a career out of doing this stuff with her open houses. And it was one of the things she did that she got so much positive feedback on. So when people come to the open house, they're signing their name in. I have my notes already done. Thank you for attending the open house. If you ever need anything, please reach out. John, with my business card in there. And then it's already folded and it's on an envelope, but the envelope is blank. And then when they walk away, I look on the iPad to see what they did, or if they don't do it, and I ask their name and it says, oh, Rick and Jane. I remember it and I write on it, Rick and Jane, when they walk away. And then when they're leaving, so I have a system that I call, it's a system basically that is an engage, disengage, re-engage system. So I engage with them when they come in. I meet them, I engage with them, I talk to them a little bit, let them go through the house. That's my disengage. And that also helps free me up to engage with someone else. And when they disengage, I have my little swag getting done. And then I re-engage. Thank you for coming. Is there anything I can help you with? And I give them the card on the way out. How many agents do you think are personalizing a note card thanking them for coming to the open house when they leave an open house that day?
Not too many.
Not many. No. Maybe you guys, because you'll now maybe implement it into your systems, but this sets you apart from the competition. And sometimes I forget it. I get sloppy and I realize my results are not hitting where I thought, and I go back to the basics. And then I do this stuff and then I get better results. Okay? To increase traffic, you could canvass the neighborhood prior to the open house. You hit 50 homes. Go to the whole neighborhood and knock on the door. Travis Robertson has one. 10 on the left side, 10 on the right side of the house, and then another 10 across the street. So you hit like 30 or 5, and 10, 20 people. Invite them, something like that. Hit the 5 or 10 houses to the left of the house, hit the 5 or 10 houses to the right, and then go to the same number, whatever you did, across the street, and personally invite those people. You can do that 2 days in advance, 3 days in advance. Hey, we have a special preview. Our open house is 1 to 3. From 12 to 1, we're having a local residents only to come in and take a look at the house. It's in your neighborhood. We hope to get the highest value you possibly can. That helps the neighborhood. Now another tactic I use is I encourage people, if I do this, or if I have one of my team members do it, when they knock, to say, look, I would love to get you to check out the house, sign in, and for every sign in, John's going to donate to the Children's Miracle Network. And then I send a thank you to those people that came after the open house, saying, thank you, we raised blah, blah, blah to the Children's Miracle Network. You can set a budget aside instantly, $100 max, donating to the Children's Miracle Network, $50 max. And then I send a personal note. Thank you for attending. I just donated on your behalf to the Children's Miracle Network, or any charity, or whatever you want to do. But you guys get the point. Do you think that makes the community feel better that their attendance at an open house is going to directly go to a charitable organization?
Yes.
Of course. So utilize these things. These are all ideas. Okay? Have fun with it. I can't encourage people more to have fun with this stuff. If you do that and you hit 50 relationships in the neighborhood, you've just opened the door to 50 potential people in your database. You capture 10% of them, you're at 5 people in your database that you're able to market 30 plus times a year to. I can promise you this, the big corporations love to have this ability. All right. And then we have some dialogues in here, and boom, I'm going to end it at that. So and then you have your conversion for the open houses, everyone. I forgot about that part. So a couple tricks. One is your phone. If you use BombBomb, have the BombBomb app, do a video. Hey, thank you for coming to the open house. And have your contact information. If you need me, my contact information is in the link of this video email. So you got their email. Now you sent them a video email saying, thank you for coming to the open house. So you can do that as at the end of the open house when you're done. Nobody else is there. You do in front of the property, little video email, send that back out. We'll probably revisit some of that stuff when we do the video marketing class that we do in here. But another thing you want to do is reach out to the people that came to the open house. If somebody, and that's up to you to determine how serious they look. But if somebody doesn't look serious, put them in a stay in touch campaign. Every week, send them something. You can phone call, you can send them data, you can send them trends, you can send them home tips, you can send them recipes, you can send them anything that you would do with your network. What I always like to do is just piggyback it off my network marketing. Whatever I design for my network marketing, I'm going to throw these people in. I just won't do it as intensive. I might start off a little intensive, or maybe I creep up to it, but give them something of value. Maybe I send them out a home buyer guide. I have their address, mail them out one of your home buyer guides. Don't have your home buyer guide at the open. It's something that you can actually send to them afterwards. Direct them to your various websites, your social media profiles, and give people value there. Especially if you work a community. If you created a community page, and I think when we do social media, and I know Steve Holt ties into this a lot, is if you have a community page of things going on about the community, you can tie all that in and direct people to those things. You know, I don't know, Becky, if anybody in Berlin has a Berlin community page going with all the events and all, but you could create another community page that, yeah, you could even create an additional one or have something else that you can put stuff in there. But some of the best community pages I've seen were created by realtors. Huh. And all it is to get them in front of people so they can add them to their network. But keep in mind, if you're not reaching out to people after the open house within the first day or two, thanking them for coming, is there any way you can help them? A couple days later, 2 to 3 reach outs the first week, the next week 1 or 2, the next week 1 or 2, and then 1 per week or every other week thereafter. There's conversion metrics that will tie into all this in another class. Any questions, anyone, from anything we talked about today?
No, it was great. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
We dived into it quite a bit today. I will send out a recap early next week. If you want any of if you want the workbook sooner, I'll be posting that up probably tomorrow onto the link that you have, the Google Drive link for this, for those of you taking this class. If you don't have access to the Google Drive link, email me and I'll send you over the Google Drive link. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, everyone. If no other questions, I'm going to head. This was a long one. Hopefully you guys will start getting out there and lead generating.
Thanks,
and
John.
Stay safe and have a great week. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.